We know there's a lot of different types of commercial real estate out there, but what is the best type of commercial real estate to invest in? We're going to go through in this video what are the best types of commercial real estate to invest in. By the end of this video, you're going to have a better idea of what's the best commercial real estate asset for you to get into based on your strengths and your market. So you want to look at what's going on in your market. Like, commercial real estate is very fluid. It's basically got ups and downs, just like residential housing, but there's more cycles, right? Or can have more cycles. Like, let's just look at what's happened most recently with commercial real estate. We have hotels that are a little bit beat up because people aren't traveling, and office because people are working out of their homes more and more, right? So those things are a little softer. And when we look at things like warehouse space or industrial, in the Phoenix market, that's my market, we're seeing a huge uptick. We're having the most amount of occupancy that we've seen ever in the industrial space. And we have a lot of people building it right now as well. So that being taken into consideration, that's just this area, right? So in your area, you may be seeing things slightly different, depending are people traveling or not. So one of the best things that I like to look at when evaluating an asset is figuring out its potential. What's its highest and best use? And what it's currently being used for may not be the highest and best use of what it should be. For example, if you have an office, like I was just talking about, and that office is dead, like nobody's renting, you couldn't give the space away, right? That is very likely. It could be the case going on in your area. Then what do you have? You probably have a motivated seller, someone that just wants to cut bait and get out from underneath of it. So you could use that towards your advantage. Okay, so is that the highest and best? Maybe. Let's talk about why. Okay, so here's some things that I like to do. I like to vet a property. Basically, find out, is it worth anything? Can I salvage this? Can I buy it so right that I could either reposition it or actually rent it out and make a decent amount of money, right? So these are the things that I would be looking at. Highest and best use. Let's talk about highest and best use. If I had an office and someone these are real examples, you guys, that I've done and I do. Like, I've bought a building that sat there for years vacant because it looked like crap, honestly. And so I fixed the facade, and instead of just renting out the entire place, like, let's say, for example, people are getting maybe, $1 a foot. Let's just use that number. And $1 a foot is pretty decent amount in our area, right? Probably, maybe not in your area, but just follow me for a second. Let's just say it's a decent amount in my area, and I have a 3,000 square foot building, so I'm pulling around $3,000 a month. If I carve those spaces up, maybe I could get, and let's say I could get 9 spaces, and I could get $900 per space and carve it up into executive suites. If that area has that type of demand, well, now I'm pulling a lot more. So now you took that property from $3,000 a month to $8,100 a month by doing executive suites. And maybe it's not that much, and maybe you have to fiddle with those numbers a little bit. But to vet that, to make sure and determine, is that the highest and best use, and is that a realistic number? I like to do mock-ups prior to me closing, which I do it during my due diligence period. This is my phase when I could figure out, is what I'm thinking and what I'm seeing, what's going on in the market, actually realistic with this property. So I'll do it from office spaces. I do it with actually every piece of property that I get now under contract, because I want to know, am I missing something on this property? So I go to, and I've told you guys maybe before, if you've heard some of these videos, I'll go to 99 Designs. I do a mock-up of what I envision the property being. And then I just simply go on Craigslist and I market the property for lease to see if I could actually get the rents that I want, and is that the highest and best use? And maybe I have 2 different types of ads going on for different uses. Okay, so this is just one way to kind of vet the process and make sure that what you're thinking is true, is reality. So when I'm talking about different types of assets, of real estate assets to invest in, just because you're investing in an office doesn't mean it won't be multifamily when it's done. These are things to look at. What is going on in your market? You want to know these things. When evaluating, we use a cap rate. This is basically how to determine or underwrite a deal. So if you want to understand more about cap rate and how it works and how you could determine if this deal is going to make sense, we have a whole episode on it right here, and you could watch it now or save it till the end. We'll keep it in the link down below so you can finish watching this. So just because what you're thinking might be highest and best for you may not be highest and best for somebody else to invest in. So what you want to do is take inventory. Like, let's say, for example, you're working on a very limited budget. Well, maybe you entertain seller financing. Oftentimes I go in and I'll take a building that is vacant, which a lot of people are not looking for that type of asset. They do not want a vacant building. They want to place their money and kind of forget about it. So if that's more you, then you want to look at like highest and best use of a property and maybe old leases, and could you renegotiate their lease, or what could you do to increase the rents? When I'm looking at some of these, they're essentially dead assets. They have no money coming in. So I look at them from like, what can I do with this building to occupy it and get the most amount of money as possible? And also, what's the easiest way to get in? For me, the less underwriting I have to go through, the better. So I look for seller financing. You may want to do that too. That may be the easiest point of entry for you, especially if someone's lacking strong financials. It's even another reason you may want to look at seller financing, because you could get into a property with little or no down on commercial and say, hey, I need to use this down payment, what I would pay you, to reposition the property. Sometimes they'll let you do that. Sometimes they won't. Sometimes they want a minimum of something down. And so if you have that or need to bring in an investor, you can do that. I like to have tenants in place prior to taking possession of the property. So I like to get leases put into place. So I'll do the facade mock-up on whatever it is. Like, let's say I'm going from an office to executive suites, same kind of thing, but I'm carving up the space slightly different, increasing my price per square foot. Maybe it's a hotel to apartment, so doing more long-term. Maybe I'm doing office to multifamily. That could be another thing that I'm looking at. Or maybe the current use is the highest and best, but the condition's not. So you got to come in and do that heavy lifting, reposition it. So these are the things that you need to look for, and then you need to evaluate, what is my return? I use cap rate to determine how much money that property can potentially bring in. You may want to do the same. You could do cash on cash as well. There's different evaluations. We have a cash on cash episode as well. If you want to go through that, you can, and it will give you a better idea of how to essentially underwrite, or how much money are you getting in return on your money. Here's another model that you may want to look at. Think about a company like McDonald's. So what's the best type of real estate to invest in? That would be land, so you could build McDonald's, right? McDonald's is, as you know probably, and if you don't, one of the, if not the largest landholder in the world. They own more real estate than anybody else. I don't know, them or the Catholic Church. Both those own a lot, right? So, but my point being is they have a end use in mind for the real estate. So along that same model, I'm just going to share a friend of mine, Derek's model. And what he does is he operates and has warehouses. And what he'll do is operate his business out of a warehouse, and then he builds a new warehouse, occupies the warehouse. He could get a lending done and a loan done on that property. It's one and the same, lending, loan, whatever. Anyways, he'll get a loan on the property based on him being the tenant, get a bank to lend on it. He'll then build the building, occupy it, put it up for lease, and then if someone comes and bumps him out of that space, then he'll build another building, so on and so on and so on. So he could continue building warehouse space using his business as the tenant to kind of grow his portfolio. So this is another way, like if you own a business, maybe, and you could put your business in there and occupy it until you move out, or sell it. Like someone sells a franchise. You could sell the franchise, but yet retain the ownership of the piece of real estate. It's another phenomenal way. McDonald's does it. Other franchises do it. So the biggest thing is, one, identifying what is in your area, what's going on in your area, what is in demand. So you want to find what's in demand and what's not in demand and find those opportunities. If you could, again, find highest and best use. And maybe you just stumble upon someone that's out of touch with what's going on in the market, and you could get one of those really good deals. It happens once in a while to me. I'm sure it could happen to you if you're in that market and making things happen. If you're looking to understand this even more in depth, I have a free comprehensive real estate guide for you to do your own evaluations on by clicking the link below, and it's yours free just by watching today. I want to thank you. Click on the link, get yours today.